I asked you at the end of the last video, what would political action have to do with Ignatian spirituality? Let's see if we can't figure it out together. I'm going to read to you the beginning of the Gospel according to Matthew. Now, if you've never read the Christian Bible, Matthew is the first of the four Gospels. It's the introduction to the life of Jesus in the Christian Bible. So if you want to learn the New Testament, if you want to learn the Christian Bible, this is the first thing you get. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, and Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers, and Judah the father of Perez, and Zerah by Tamar, and Perez the father of Hezron, and Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Aminadab, and Aminadab the father of Nahshon, and Nahshon the father of Salmon, and Salmon the father of Boaz, by Rahab, and Rahab, Boaz the father of Obed by Ruth, Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of David the king. David was the father of Solomon by the wife of Uriah, Solomon the father of Rehoboam, Rehoboam the father of Abijah, Abijah the father of Asa, Asa the father of Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat the father of Joram, Joram the father of Uzziah, Uzziah the father of Jotham, Jotham the father of Ahaz, Ahaz the father of Hezekiah, Hezekiah the father of Manasseh, Manasseh the father of Amos, and Amos the father of Josiah, Josiah the father of Jeconiah, and his brothers at the time of the deportation to Babylon. And after the deportation to Babylon, Jeconiah was the father of Shealtiel, and Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, and Abiud the father of Eliakim, and Eliakim the father of Azor, and Azor the father of Zadok. Zadok the father of Achim, and Achim the father of Eliud, and Eliud the father of Eleazar, and Eleazar the father of Mathan, Mathan the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Christ. So all the generations from Abraham to David were 14 generations. Wow. Remember a couple weeks ago when I was telling you that the story of Jesus is the story of God walking among us? That's how the Bible starts the story, with a family tree? What's up with that? Now I'd like you to take a moment and pause the video again if you haven't already, and put another comment down there. Having just read that, do you have any more idea of what Ignatian spirituality has to do with politics? You might not, if you don't try to find a good commentary, or if your Bible doesn't have a good set of commentary notes about everything going on in that genealogy. Let's just pick a few of these names here. Let's start with, so we have Abraham, the father of Isaac. By the way, if you haven't gotten to this education yet, Isaac was almost killed by his father Abraham. Isaac gave birth to Jacob, who was kind of a jerk, the scriptures tell us. And who ended up working his way into the genealogy of Jesus, really by screwing his brother out of an inheritance. And himself ended up getting involved in this weird love triangle. He ended up he slept with somebody he wasn't supposed to sleep with, accidentally, supposedly. And that's how he became the father of Judah. Judah ends up sleeping with his own daughter-in-law. She goes out, acts like a prostitute, ends up herself pregnant. So you've got all these. Really, this is really a soap opera kind of situation. We get down to Boaz and Ruth, which end up in their own kind of weird sex triangle in the Old Testament. Eventually this genealogy gets to David, who wants to sleep with someone so badly that as king, he decides to have her husband put on the front line of a battle. That part of the genealogy, but David's kind of near the middle. That's when we turn towards everything up until then. It's been like an episode of one of those TV shows where everyone's sleeping with everyone. I don't watch those shows. I couldn't tell you the name of one, actually. Friends was the one in the 90s. Once we get to David, though, that part of the story, it gets into palace intrigue, right? Instead of everyone sleeping with everyone, now we're going to get people killing everyone. We got Solomon's son Rehoboam. He's going to try to kill... Who does he end up trying to kill here? I can't remember a lot of these details. This is all palace intrigue here. We have... The son of Jehoshaphat, Jeroham, tries to reunite some of these political territories by marrying the sister of Ahab. His son is murdered. The next in line ends up being an assassin. Okay, This is not a course on Old Testament history or the genealogy of Jesus. The idea here is that why is this happening this way? The best way I can put it is this, right? It's what's sometimes called the sacramental principle in Catholic theology. The sacramental principle, which is that everything that God creates has this divine purpose. God gets manifested in our material world, in our lives, in our human lives. That's what the incarnation of Jesus was all about. Well, our human lives includes all kinds of crazy things, including sex and including politics. So Jesuits have often had political involvement because humans are political. Because human beings are political, Jesuits have found ways to find God there. And I'm using that phrase, find God, deliberately, because a common Jesuit slogan, if you haven't already seen it here at LMU, is finding God in all things. So the reason I'm talking about this is because if you really want to take up an Ignatian attitude towards the world, you have to be prepared to jump right into some of the most human of things. Jesus is born right into the midst of a big human soap opera, full of political intrigue and sex scandals, and you name it. Well, on the Ignatian way of looking things, if you want to really be fully Christian, you have to be willing to find God even in the soap opera dynamics of human life. It's not just admitting it for the Ignatian or for the Jesuit. It's not just a matter of saying, yes, I understand that this is how God projects divinity into human history. Anybody can say that. I can say that. Anybody can say that. The Jesuit way is to actually use that as a basis for contemplation, right? Is to actually spend time reflecting on this kind of thing. To actually spend time reflecting on how is God moving even in human political activity, even in human social activity, in our social lives, in our relationships, and everything that's going on among us. God is to be found, but it's to be found in the details, right? You actually have to go into these things and actually look and see and think about. And I should add here that in the Ignatian way of proceeding, you should have a spiritual director, somebody you talk to about finding the specifics of God's activity in the humdrum, ordinary, day-to-day life. So Dan Berrigan, the guy I was talking about last time, this is somebody who went and saw it as part of his mission as a Jesuit and as a poet, I should say, to find God in the nitty-gritty difficulties of political strife. This is why I think Dan Berrigan was willing to be arrested over 100 times. This is why Dan Berrigan went underground when he was running from the FBI. This is why Dan Berrigan kept trying to break into military installations, right? It's about finding God in the ordinary details of human political life, of human social life. So that's the kind of thing I want to conclude. We're wrapping up here our study of 4 contemplative traditions. We're ending here with the Ignatian tradition. The Ignatian tradition, the thing you have to keep in mind about it is it's deliberately meant to be all-encompassing. Now, every spiritual tradition is meant to be all-encompassing, but the Ignatian tradition puts that front and center, right? It stands up first thing in the morning and says, everything is now front and center, going all the way back to Saint Ignatius, when he realized that that ordinary desire that he had to be a hero, to be a knight, to be a kind of James Bond character, that was there deliberately. That was deliberately put into him by God so that it could be transformed into a desire to be a saint. The Ignatian way is to look at all these things that we might otherwise overlook and to try to discern. Discernment is a huge idea in Ignatian spirituality. To try to discern, what does it mean? To try to figure out, to try to decide, what is God saying here? What is God saying in the political situation that we're in? What is God saying in the pandemic that we need to be hearing? What is God saying in the musical trends? What is God saying in the fact that I suddenly find myself in this social situation or these social relationships? What is God trying to show us by making things to be the way they are at any particular time? That's what Ignatian discernment is all about. And that's why politics, which is the most human of things, that's why politics has so often been an important aspect of Jesuit life. So that's all I really need to say to you about Ignatian spirituality. They're well known for their social activism, the Jesuits are, but it's for this reason. It's because even politics is it's a venue for God's activity. So with that, I hope that you've enjoyed studying the 4 great contemplative traditions. For the next 2 weeks, we'll be looking at just some miscellaneous texts on spirituality and prayer that I hope you'll enjoy. In the meantime, be well.